Ready? Okay. Who? 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 Doesn't have a podcast.
No, we do not.
Oh God, yes.
Well, we just lost all 8 subscribers. Welcome back to Who Doesn't Have a Podcast. It's me, Michael. This week I'm joined by Daniel Allen and Chris Chibnall, apparently. Chris Chibnall's dialed in.
Fresh off the Salisbury Playhouse.
Mad that we got him on our 10th episode, but we did.
It's funny how far a bag of Skittles will take you, isn't it?
Okay, let's start with some Who news. I haven't told the boys what we're going to be chatting about this week, but I'm just going to drop these into the conversation and then hopefully something good comes out of it.
Cue the sting. Who? News. Progress.
Right, the first one is, so every week I put into Google, I put Doctor Who into Google News, right? I don't know either of you know the problem with putting Doctor Who into Google News, do you? Do you know what happens?
So much porn.
What happens, Mike?
Wall-to-wall porn, isn't it?
What happens is you keep getting articles like Doctor Who poisoned all of his patients. You don't actually get any Doctor Who news. It's just the word Doctor Who. This is hot off the press, right?
Oh, okay.
It's been reported that Stephen Moffat is returning or has returned to write the 2024 Christmas special. That's this year.
Wow.
Ooh.
It slightly muddies the water a little bit, but apparently Russell T Davies said in a Doctor Who magazine column that he was writing the 2024 Christmas special. So I don't know if that was a smoke screen but it was an IMDb listing for somebody, and Stephen Moffat is listed as the writer. What do we think?
Do you think that they're all just taking turns again?
So when Russell T Davies said, it's going to go to Stephen Moffat and then it'll be Chris Chibnall again. And then it just goes like that.
Actually, though, isn't this not like a good return to form for the show? Because again, you had these other writers drop in for the odd episode, so it might be okay as a one-off. And
Stephen Moffat's episodes are, and I'll stand by this, some of the best written Doctor Who episodes ever. Girl 100%. In the Fireplace, Blink, even some of the ones that you haven't seen, Dan. Like there's one called Heaven Sent in Peter Capaldi's.
I've heard about this one.
Amazing.
Yeah,
very, very good. Yeah. Very good. I think like it's different, isn't it? It's like being a episode writer and then actually being the showrunner. Like it is such a different job in terms of like what is required of you, like being able to bring that arc together, but also, you know, like have the trust in other people to kind of see your vision and like not have complete control and like go off and do it. It's interesting, isn't it? Because you see like so many other franchises, a classic being like Star Wars, for instance, with the new sequel, we had 3 different directors, all with totally different visions. And it I think that's what for some people resulted in kind of the car crash sort of narrative. Whereas like, I think it's the same with Doctor Who, isn't it? Like, I think Moffat is an exceptional writer and I think he was a very good showrunner, but like it's difficult. It's really difficult to try and bring those elements to fruition, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'd be really excited if he's coming back. And I think it's quite a thing to have him write the Christmas special. I mean, they always say about the Christmas specials is that they are supposed to be broad peak Doctor Who. That's when you get the most people watching the show. I'm thinking back to a lot of the Christmas specials that he wrote. I mean, he wrote that incredible one. I think it was the first one that he did with Matt Smith. Do you remember what it was? It had Michael Gambon in it.
Christmas Carol. It was the one that was based on Christmas Carol, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Easily, like hands down, one of the best episodes of his tenure, I think. So to bring him back for like a Christmas special, I think I hope it's true. It might not be true.
Well, I think that was an exceptional one, and it deserves its plaudits. He did also write Doctor Mysterio.
We need next Christmas we should rewatch it because. We've said this before. I don't know if we're just giving it a bad rap. I mean, the plot.
Yeah, and Dan needs to watch it. Oh no, Dan, did you see the Christmas ones? Even though you didn't see the runs.
Again, I don't distinctly remember Doctor Mysterio.
That's all right. No one does.
Was it really that bad?
It was supposed to cash in on like the superhero thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Why did they feel like they had to dip their toe in that water?
Because it was everything, wasn't it? It's the sphere of influence, isn't it? Like in every form of media. And this was prior to them being bought by Disney. But it was, it's interesting. But I think Moffat, I don't have a problem with Moffat coming back in certain episodes to write certain things. I think, like, well, I don't know. What do you think? Like, do you think it should be a case of you should always keep that experience around, or do you think Doctor Who should just be bringing in new writers constantly? It should always be going to new places and new ideas.
I think when you've got someone as specifically talented as writing Doctor Who as Stephen Moffat is, bringing back for the odd episode, like the way I've seen many interviews with Stephen Moffat where he said that since he was a kid, he's had so many Doctor Who ideas tumbling around in his head. And ever since he passed on the baton to Chris Chibnall, he said that he never stops thinking about Doctor Who ideas. And some of his Doctor Who ideas were some of the best ideas that Doctor Who's ever had. So I would be all up for it, I think. If you've got someone that talented at doing that show, like, yeah. If he wants to, he should do it. What about you, Dan?
I'm the same as you. Like you said, like, I think standalone episodes are where Steve Moffat really shines. And I think to give him a platform, because again, I can understand where you want to bring new writers in to kind of refresh the show, but I think because the show was kind of in that very kind of perilous middle ground, I think to kind of bring back solid writers to get the reputation of the thing back up there, then once you've kind of established that once more, bring in the new talent to kind of mix things up. But I think you've definitely got the safest choice for Rusty Davis. Bring in Stephen Moffat for the occasional few, potentially a Christmas special. I think it's a really strong shout. Is that actually been confirmed, or is that just been?
It's reported in the radio. It was Radio Times reported it today, like an hour before we started.
Oh wow! Okay.
And there have been rumours going around, and Stephen Moffat's denied the rumours. He said something like, "It would be an absolutely mad career decision for him to return to a show that he used to showrun in a more junior position." But my personal feeling is, he obviously loves him and Russell T Davies and Chris Chibnall obviously loved Doctor Who so much. Russell T Davies returned to it to showrun it after saying he'd never do that. So I think there must be some truth in it. The second thing that I wanted to talk about was the BBC is experimenting with generative AI to promote Doctor Who. Now, boys, we would never experiment with AI to promote our Doctor Who podcast, would we?
Never.
No.
No, we wouldn't do it.
Sacrilege.
Because it takes the jobs away from the people, you know? And we wouldn't do that.
Hard-working people.
Certainly need the people.
Apparently they're going to be doing it for marketing reasons. So, like, emails apparently are going to be generated by AI or email subheadings or something. I don't know. But, you know, all of these jobs will have been done by people. So that's an interesting development. There we go. Other thing, I was watching.
I bet I didn't write that.
I was watching The Wheel, Michael McIntyre's The Wheel.
Yes, let's call you about this.
Russell T Davies was on it.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
And it's a great show anyway, Jerome, you snob. But also, his obviously his subject was Doctor Who. He didn't get, I don't know if you know how the wheel works, but just because you're the expert for a certain subject doesn't mean that you get called in as the expert. Whatever. We won't go into all the technicalities of the wheel. But there was a Doctor Who question, and the question was, what does the TARDIS stand for? And the expert that had to help the contestant was Deborah Meaden off of Dragon's Den. And this was amazing. She isn't a fan of Doctor Who, I don't think. But did you watch it, Dan?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get the impression that she knew what TARDIS stood for. She
really
worked it out. She worked it out. It was mad. She went, well, T must be time. And then she goes, A, and then they skipped R. And then she went, B, dimension in space. And then the four options for R, I think, were relative, reality. Don't know the others, but it was great. I remember, and then Russell T Davies was really like blown away by it. It was like, I can't believe you were that. Yeah, mad. So Deborah Meaden.
So what she's done there is basically cast herself as the next Doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
very strong
or as the
audition.
master.
Straight. Ooh.
He knows all.
Very true.
Yeah. So there we go. 100% confirmed. Deborah Meaden has been cast as the master in Doctor Who.
I went to read that in TV Times.
Third thing is, I went to go see a film called Imaginary, which is a horror film. Wasn't very good, but the third act was like an episode of Doctor Who, and The villain. Are you ever going to watch this horror film? I'll
I
put a
didn't even know
spoiler
it
alert.
existed.
You've not really left a glowing review, Mike, so probably not.
The villain in the third act, it goes all fantasy. It's a horror, and at the end, it's all like fantasy. And the kind of like main kind of horror villain is a creature that feeds on children's imaginations. Hence the title of the film called Imaginary. And its eyes are like all these, like it's just like a slideshow of different children's imaginations. And I was watching it, and I turned to my partner and was like, "This is like an episode of Doctor Who." Like it was so, and she agreed. So, if anyone wants to go see Imaginary, the final bit is a bit like Doctor Who. Why did I include this in the news bit? It's not really news. It's just something that I've done and thought.
I'm surprised you allowed your partner to speak. She's not normally allowed to, is she, when she's in public places?
And we're also
Not my words, guys.
Yeah.
The words of Michael Priestley.
And did you tell your wife?
What did your son make of this, Mike?
We're in a cinema, and we shouldn't have been speaking anyway, but I said exactly what I just said to you at full volume.
Speaking of going back, well, there was the horror aspect, but going back one to the wheel, which is not something I ever thought I'd do, but here we are. If you were to do a quiz on Doctor Who, right, which platform or which quiz show do you think you would have the best chance at succeeding on? For instance, like they're all Doctor Who questions, but you've got like Millionaire, that's 15 questions. You can bank, take certain money amount home. You've got the Chase, you can choose how many steps you've got between you and the chaser. You've got Pointless, you're looking for pointless answers. Which do you think, on your Doctor Who knowledge, do you think would which one do you think you'd have the best chance with? I'll stump them.
Millionaire.
And we can open that up to the viewers at home, all 8 subscribers, who I'm sure are mad.
Oh no, we lost them at the start, Jerome.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
For those that have just discovered us in the corner of the internet, please comment below. I would say Millionaire for those exact reasons. I think I'd do it for any game show, because I think Pointless, the odds are stacked against you, and the actual financial reward's like 1,800 quid, and you go, this wasn't worth the migraine. Sod off. The Chase, but I don't know if any of the Chase might. No, the Chasers are Doctor Who fans. Let's get real. And then the Millionaire, you would at least go home with £1,000, having known the basic bits of Doctor Who.
That's so a big call.
I think I could easily go home with £1,000 on Millionaire.
What if every question was on Jodie Whittaker's tenure?
Unless the questions were, Jodie Whittaker also starred in what episode of Black Mirror, and what part did Jodie Whittaker play in Broadchurch? Where's Jodie Whittaker from? If it was stuff about her as a person,
who does Jodie Whittaker play in Doctor Who?
Now we're talking.
Dan, for 5 points to get you to the ground for Jodie Whittaker's tenure, name her 5 companions.
Okay, Bradley Walsh, John Bishop.
Yeah.
Just the men, is it, Dan?
No, because I know the lady, but I don't want to say the wrong thing. K9.
Sorry,
Wilf.
Was K9 the lady?
and when that time that Kylie Minogue played the maid.
Oh yeah,
there's the 5, right?
Spot on.
We'll take a commercial break and we'll let you know. You roll your shoulders and take a break, good sir. But actually, Mike, do you? I believe, speaking of Dan and quizzes, yes,
you've made a good point, Jerome. We do have another edition of our weekly quiz, Catching Dan Up, in which Jerome and I have come up with 3 fake things that have happened in Doctor Who since Dan stopped watching, and 1 real thing.
I've just thought of an amazing song. Ready? Catching Dan up. Catching down out, time to break free. Will these 2 stop him? Yeah. Okay,
so are you ready for your next round, Dan?
What I'm ready.
Right. Fact number 1. In recognition that Capaldi is an older and grittier actor than Tennant or Smith, he literally convinces someone to kill himself in his first episode. Fact number 2. Jodie Whittaker's first season arc is here trying to find a better internet provider for the TARDIS. Fact number 3. Graham, the companion played by Bradley Walsh, is a game show host for a program called The Hunt, in a meta nod to the actor himself. And fact number 4, in Matt Smith's final episode, he grows very, very old because he's stuck on a war-torn planet. He's attended to by a nurse in his final days, who he playfully slaps on the arse. The BBC were forced to offer up an apology to viewers. Which one of those actually happened?
Oh, okay. So I don't think
do you need a slow repeat of a slow.
let's have a slow repeat for the listeners.
And then we'll discuss the merits of each. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do
You've
it.
got
Oh,
number
God.
1, Capaldi encouraged someone to kill himself. Number 2,
Christ.
Jodie Whittaker and the internet provider for the TARDIS. Number 3, Bradley Walsh, The Hunt, Metazone. And number 4, Matt Smith and a little bit of slap and tickle.
Right.
Which one of those happened?
So I don't distinctly remember hearing anything about Peter Capaldi's first outing as the Doctor.
Very first episode.
The very first outing, which he makes a man kill himself.
Encourages, yeah.
Encourages.
Because they were trying to distinguish between this incarnation of the Doctor being grittier, more world-weary, older.
Right. I'm going to put that one in the maybe pile. Scottish.
Well, there goes our.
You ever been to
Scottish
Glasgow?
subscribers.
If any Glaswegians are watching, we're dead. So are they. So I'm going to put that in the maybe pile. Then we've got Jodie Whittaker trying to find an internet deal, a broadband provider. Sorry for the TARDIS.
Broadband provider, yes.
And that's her whole first series off.
I mean, obviously there are subplots. Things go wrong all over the shop. There's a couple of villains in there. But...
the Simon coming, guys. Before you delete us, talk a virgin.
It really went
Help me out
downhill.
here.
We had bad work.
It sounds silly, but we all know how the TARDIS just never goes where it's supposed to, and that's the whole reason for the first arc. She tries to fix that, and she's like, right.
Okay. Then we've got Bradley Walsh's character Graham from a show called The Hunt. Now, this one I think could be it, because I think it's so on the nose that's something that the BBC would do. Possibly, but I can't remember.
Are you saying that Bradley Walsh is one-dimensional?
Maybe, yes. But it depends. Because did he play the character of Graham in The Hunt, or was he playing Graham as Bradley Walsh as Graham in The Hunt? So many layers. And finally, what was the last one again?
In Matt Smith's final episode, he grows very, very old and slaps a nurse on the arse.
Oh, because I think that's the sort of thing that with the best in the world, the BBC would have to answer complaints on. So
I believe as well, this was around a similar time where Jeremy Clarkson was sacked. So they were in sack zone. They belonged to Sackville. They were the sack train.
He had to regenerate because of it.
Okay, right.
He nearly didn't get those extra regenerations.
You were lucky to get the 50th, you shit. I'm gonna lock in my answer.
What are you going for?
I am gonna choose option number 1. Because you haven't specified whether it's a goodie or a baddie. And I think because it's a baddie, he could be like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, but the Doctor doesn't kill.
The Doctor doesn't kill.
But I'm sure I've remembered you talking about this. I'm sure there was some kind of mood or attitude change in that era of Doctor Who. Things got a little bit shaken up. I'm locking it in. That's number 1.
Yeah, he goes on a killing spree throughout the rest of the series. So.
You didn't mention that bit.
Right.
What do you think they called the episode Heaven Sent?
All right, Dan, I'll put you out your misery.
Go on.
The correct answer is Capaldi convinces someone to kill himself in his first episode.
Come on.
He's done it. He's ahead of us now, Jerome. That's 2-1 to him.
No, we got to change that.
Actually, we've not decided on like a forfeit. What could the forfeit be for the losing side?
That's a good. Well, should we put this out there as well? Maybe we should decide this.
Actually, that could be our first social media post.
Yeah,
What is
we've
the
got
forfeit
socials
for the
now.
losing side?
What is the forfeit for losing the? What was it called?
Catching Dan up.
Catching Dan up.
I think just straight off the bat in my head, we have to go to like the cobbled streets of, I don't know, somewhere like a Blackburn or somewhere kind of terraces. I'm thinking slightly northern. I'm thinking slightly like just running through, and you have to dress up and paint yourself like the Absorbaloff, buy a cane off Amazon, and just chase the other two.
And put on Peter Kay's accent.
And put on Peter Kay's accent, yeah.
Well, maybe that's our first social media post. What we need a forfeit for the losing side. What should it be?
What should it be? If you'd like to get in touch with us, this is where I'm going to list them out. We've not done this. We've not actually listened before. We've not promoted these. So we are on many different platforms, as they say. We are so relevant. Okay, so you can follow us on Instagram and Threads with the user tag Who Doesn't Pod. Who Doesn't Pod. I believe that's the same on X as well. Who Doesn't Pod. And currently on TikTok, it's Who Doesn't Have a Podcast. So Who Doesn't Have a Podcast is our TikTok, and you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads on Who Doesn't Pod.
Very nice. And I should also say that you should like and subscribe.
Like
we
and
haven't
subscribe.
said that yet either.
And we'd love to get your feedback as well if there's other things that you think we could really benefit from. If there's any bits of info, any little things you want to kind of get us to kind of play around with. We've also got our email address at who doesn't have a podcast at gmail.com. Feel free to throw your questions and ideas in there as well.
That's it for another episode.
Just
Thanks
a
for
quick
anyone
one.
that tuned in.
Quick spanner into the works. As everyone probably knows, on Sunday, it was Mother's Day. So no one knows on the pod I'm about to do this, but I want to ask you, both of you boys here, favorite Doctor Who mums. Now there are 3 obvious ones to go for. You've got Jackie Tyler. You've got the other 2 whose names I've forgotten. You've got Martha's mum and you've got Donna's mum. All 3 of them very kind of prominent, I would say, in their arcs, and then sort of mums kind of phased out of existence. We briefly had Arthur Weasley or Father Brown, depending how you know him, appear as Rory's dad, and we also had Amy's mum and dad briefly appear in the wedding. But other than that, I don't think there's many parents who've turned up. But I just want to ask the boys, favorite mums in Doctor Who? Go.
Amy Pond.
That's lovely.
Very good.
Amy Pond and the woman that appears in David Tennant's final episode. You remember, standing behind Rassilon. Never explained who she is, but it's heavily implied that it's his mum.
Yeah.
And my favourite mother is Donna Noble.
Ah, yes. Yeah. Very good.
There you go.
Very, very good. Yes. That was good. I for me, it's just Jackie Tyler and the Christmas tree. Always sticks with me. Always sticks in my memory. Good old Jackie. So yeah, there we are. Happy Mother's Day to all 3 of our mums, because they're our subscribers. So yeah, happy Mother's Day from Who Doesn't Have a Podcast. I don't know why this has gone so whispery, but there we go.
Well, happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.